Welcome, everyone. We're joined today by the other member of Break the Apocalypse podcast. Last, but certainly not least, Shaheen. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, you did.
We have very vanilla names in England, like James and John. So anything slightly exotic. And I'm so paranoid about getting cancelled these days, So I just want to make sure that we're all good starting off.
Yeah, don't worry, man. I'm a minority. I greenlight it. If you guys mispronounce it, I won't get you canceled. But yeah, dude, it's the same shit in America. I mean, growing up in school, nobody could get my name, so the teachers they at the end of the day just gave up. They would call me Shaheem. A lot of people add an M at the end, which is like ironic because I'm like, dude, you grade my quizzes all the time. There's no M at the end. But it's fine. But yeah, you got it correct.
I suppose it's like the Akeem thing from Coming to America. Maybe they kind of got that in the back of their head. I don't know.
It's actually Americans who have butchered my name historically. Even though it's only Callum, quite easy. It's always Calum in America. So I'll come over to America and they're like, oh, Calum, that's a good name. And I was like, it is, but it's not my name. So
some people here, they call me Shane. And it's not because like I gave them the permission to. It's just like, I got Shane out of this spelling. I'm like, I don't.
You're Shane now, yeah, Shane now. Yeah,
Shane. We'll go with Shane. Yeah.
Fuck it, why not?
Oh man. So like that to start off with, how did you get into Break the Apocalypse? How did you, was it through Twitter meeting John and B Show, or have you met them in person? Do you go way back? What's the deal?
Well, I started doing podcasts, I think 2015. So I used to do a show called THT, the Hot Tag, and I would get a bunch of deathmatch wrestlers on and indie wrestlers and a lot of people that kind of blew up in AEW. Now, at the time, nobody gave a shit about them. So I had a smaller time show, and then John, of course, joined, his show, Soup. And we always kind of kept in touch. But at some point, I really fell out of wrestling. And that was, due to me kind of getting personally invested in wrestling. I started doing a lot of illustrations and, designs for wrestling companies. And it kind of became my full-time job. And, at some point, I met a lot of shitty people in wrestling, man. I'm not going to lie. It kind of turned me off. And the fact that a lot of the people blew up and they kind of forgot where they came from kind of left me bitter. I'll be the first to admit it. So I kind of fell out of it. And John was kind of the same thing for different reasons. He fell out of wrestling because of the whole, Me Too movement. That kind of really grossed him out. So he kind of stepped away from wrestling. And he hit me up after a few months of not doing podcasting. And he was like, hey, man, you kind of wrapped up, your show. You're not really doing any podcasts. I kind of want to get back into the game, but I don't want to do wrestling podcasts. And I was like, dude, I never want to discuss wrestling again. So I'm totally cool with that, which I don't mean. I'm fine with discussing wrestling, but I'm not going to review like Raw and SmackDown. That's not.
No, we're not either. And we're wrestling fans.
I'm so sick of those kind of shows. Like, oh, this week on Raw. Let me guess, it was a pile of shit. Yeah, okay.
Right. Exactly.
I could tell that from the 5 minutes of highlights that I watched, which I fast forwarded through. So yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. It's a piece of dog shit every week.
Garbage.
But
sorry, I cut you off, mate.
No, you're good, man. I was totally fine with not doing anything wrestling related, and I wanted to. I really got into like horror movies again. It's something I collected over the years. And, just with what was going on in America the last 4 years, it kind of seemed like the end of the world here. So we figured, hey, man, we might as well discuss a bunch of social topics and talk about entertainment and all this other different kind of outlets that we're into. Just because we fell out of wrestling doesn't mean that, like, that's kind of been our market. But I don't want to just base my future off of something I'm not really interested in anymore. So instead of bashing it every week, why don't we just talk about shit that we like? Yeah. And then we kind of took it like a comedic approach to, like the whole social issues that's going on in the U.S. Because it's depressing. Like, me as a minority, I don't want to sit here and talk about, people beating foreigners and jumping foreigners and doing all the crazy things that I'm sure you've seen on BBC. Sure. Or, but and it kind of worked, for the most part. I think we have a different show. I know a lot of shows kind of don't have a topic. They kind of go all over the place. And we're kind of the same, but, we go from very heavy subjects to, dick jokes. So it's like, whoa.
Yeah. And that's what I love about your show. You kind of go from pretty heavy politics to pop culture to, like you said, dick and fart jokes. So,
a lot of balls.
Really, John's gargantuan, saggy old man balls as well. That was a particular highlight for me in the most recent episode. So how did last night go anyway? After we left the rest of the birthday show, was it good?
Yeah, it was good, man. We had no issues. It was the first time we're doing it on Zoom, so I was kind of nervous about that because audio issues, it's like the worst thing when it comes to podcasting. But it was pretty smooth, man. We had I think 15, 20 people join us over the whole 4 hours, so it was good. I had a good time.
So Callum does send his apologies for big timing John again and not turning up. So
look, John hates me because I always just happen to have something when it's his 50th or there's some show going on. I will be there next time. Okay, Big League Callum will be there next time.
Yeah, we'll get that done. So it's interesting. You just said that you kind of fell out of wrestling and got yourself back into horror. That's very similar to my kind of path in the last few years. I've really kind of grown very disenfranchised with wrestling as such, to the point where I barely watch it, but the pay-per-views and things like that. But really got big time back into horror movies, I grew up watching horror movies. I've got a brother that's 10 years older than me nearly, and he kind of showed me movies that he had no business showing me when I was 6, 7 years old, and I've kind of been obsessed since then. And but yeah, I've been getting back into the horror in the last few years as well. So is there any horror movies that have really kind of tickled your wiener these last few years?
Well, you know what, honestly, they kind of go hand in hand, like wrestling and horror. The reasons why I like them, the reason why I liked wrestling the way I kind of got invested in it was because, obviously I live in Philadelphia. So this is like the wrestling mecca. ECW started out here, Ring of Honor. Yeah. There's a lot of indie promotions that based out of Philadelphia. So getting into it as a kid, like that was underground. That was dope to me. I like underground things. I like niche, little hobbies and things of that nature. But once all these companies that I attended for, 10, 15 years, GCW, for example, CZW, all these companies, once they became mainstream, it changed and it wasn't really for me anymore. Same thing with horror. I like the underground horror movies that not everyone's going to talk about. I don't want to, I don't get me wrong. I love A24. I love Hereditary and Midsommar and stuff like that. But everyone knows those movies. I like collecting like Vinegar Syndrome, movies that haven't been released on DVD yet, and Vinegar Syndrome is a company. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, but they're based out of the US. So they'll restore a lot of the movies from back in the 80s and 70s that some of them never even got a VHS release. A lot of them are like exploitation movies, and they'll release like 4K restorations of these movies. It's surreal because Indiana Jones doesn't have a 4K yet, but
it should do.
Right, but the Night Shifter from 1968 that no one has ever seen is on 4K and it's got a flawless restoration from Vinegar Syndrome. So I like these like weirdo movies that I happen to discover over the last few years. Surrealism I like a lot. Like David Lynch. I love his work.
Yes. I love David Lynch.
Gaspar Noé. He's a French director. He did Irreversible. What else did he do? He did I think a movie called Love. I haven't seen that one yet. And he did Climax, which was filmed in France.
I've seen Irreversible. That's the one with Monica Bellucci. It's played. The movie starts at the end and kind of goes backwards, doesn't it? So like the horrific thing that happens at the conclusion of the story happens at the beginning, and it kind of plays. It messes with the narrative. Yeah. I've seen that movie. Haven't seen Love though. So,
it's actually, there's a company called Indicator. It's actually based out of the UK. And they're a big, like, quote unquote, boutique label. So they put like limited edition Blu-rays and really high quality packaging for all these movies. They're actually releasing Irreversible. And what they did is they reversed it. So now it actually makes sense. So now, the beginning is the beginning and versus the ending. Right.
Yeah.
So it makes a little bit more sense now, but I haven't seen that cut of the movie. I ordered it from the UK, so Amazon UK should be sending it to me sometimes. But I'm excited for that though, man.
So you've got quite an extensive Blu-ray DVD collection then, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm close to 1,000, I'd say.
Wow. Yeah. That's insane, man. Yeah, I haven't bought a DVD in such a long time because I've kind of gotten lazy with the whole streaming services and trying to find things online, I've been looking for Crispin Glover's trilogy that he did. What is it? And it is this really kind of obscure little trilogy of films that he directed. So I'm trying to find those online, but they're proven to be a real pain in the ass. So big Crispin Glover guy. So.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like streaming and I like the availability of everything at the ease of pressing a button, but For physical media, I collect it for different reasons. Like, I don't know, man. I've always had that collector's mindset. I used to collect, like, wrestling stuff, and never got into comic books and stuff. But you get the idea. I always collected. Yeah. So movies is kind of cool because, with the whole cancel culture thing, I don't know if a lot of these movies are going to be available in 10 years. You know what I mean? So
it won't be.
Exactly. So
it's kind of scary, isn't it? It's kind of it must be. I think it's really important that these movies are kind of logged and stored somewhere, maybe some kind of digital platform or something like that, because it's kind of scary that that there are movies that have been made in, say, the 70s and 80s, like your video nasties, that have never been. They might have done a short run at some kind of grindhouse cinema, and then they've never been seen ever since. And they're kind of that reel of film is buried somewhere in a warehouse or something. Underneath thousands upon thousands of movies, never to see the light of day. So I think I'd love to one day have some kind of platform where you can just find the most obscure things online. And just spend a couple of bucks renting it and what have you, and then Bob's your uncle.
It's gonna happen.
Hopefully, man. Hopefully, but I mean, at the same time, I like owning the physical copy of it. I don't know what it is about it. It's the packaging, but that is.
I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. I do miss it. I do miss kind of having physical media and stuff. And I used to be a big comic book collector as well. I had well over 5,000 comics collected between '89 and 2012ish. But I sold them all to buy music gear. So guitars and amps and bits and pieces. So, but I do miss physical media. I miss that kind of smell of the ink when you walk into a comic book shop and that kind of ink hits you, and it's just I miss that, I do miss holding.
To Blockbuster, for example, I know everyone uses that example, but going to Blockbuster to rent a couple of films, and that you'd smell the popcorn and the sweets and the drinks and everything as you go in. You spend maybe half an hour to an hour looking for something to rent. And you'd really appreciate putting it into the VHS player, watching it as much as you could before you had to take it back. But now I just download films and then I don't even watch them because the novelty is gone. I don't feel like there's any urgency to watch anything anymore. And I've got such a short attention span now from like YouTube. I'll be completely honest. It's kind of ruined watching films for me because I struggle to sit and watch a film now. And like when Jamie and Rivers are here and we're all watching films together, I enjoy it. But if I'm by myself, I can't watch anything. And are you guys like completely the opposite? Can you still sit in and completely appreciate a film when you do watch one?
I struggle with that all the time, especially TV series. Whenever people recommend it, I'm just like, you might as well not even bother. There's no way I'm not going to watch it. It's just not happening. I mean, it looks great, but it's not happening. Realistically, I'm not sitting through, 16 episodes or something. It's just not happening. No.
I kind of waver off after 2 or 3 episodes. I kind of tap out usually, unless it's something really. What's the story? Sorry.
What changed? Was it how readily available it became, or was it just how much of it there was?
I think it's honestly YouTube because I take in a lot of YouTube content. I watch reviews and stuff like that. Most of my entertainment comes from YouTube, honestly.
Agreed.
Same here.
That's what I watch, and typically they give me 15-minute episodes or 20-minute episodes, half hour, and. When somebody recommends Game of Thrones, I'm like, dude, there's fucking like 8 seasons of this.
An hour each.
They're like an hour long each as well. An hour long each.
You're asking for like a month of my time. That's
But I'll happily watch. Like, let's say Game of Thrones altogether comes to 80 hours worth of TV. I'll happily watch 80 hours worth of YouTube over a week or two. But if you ask me to watch a TV series, I can't do it. I don't know what the disconnect is there. It's just for some reason different in my head.
And it's kind of it's creeped into like the zeitgeist. It's kind of like I don't know what it is. It's not like it happened overnight with me. Like I don't know. I kind of started watching a YouTube video here and there. I started off watching kind of like how to play this on guitar, how to do this and that, and now it's all podcasts, interviews, review shows. It knows
what you want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and I'm a sucker for a good
crazy.
Yeah, it is.
I'm a sucker for a good horror review show. So like it's all my recommended videos are all horror based stuff really. So yeah.
I gotta say though, I'm kind of shocked that because I know based out of the UK, I have a lot of friends from the UK, through like the physical media thing. Because from what I understand, physical media is still huge in Europe. Like you guys have media books, and HMV seems to be like a big
HMV thing. Is hanging in there. Yeah. It's hanging in. Yeah.
Like over here, we don't have that. Like when you go to the movie section, it's one aisle, and it's all Marvel and Star Wars. You're not going to find any.
Yeah,
it's really
that's
depressing.
that's a bit depressing. That's a bit depressing. As much as I enjoy the odd Marvel movie and stuff like that, being an old comic book guy, but it's a bit depressing if it's just one aisle of just superhero movies, really. So
yeah, so I'm very thankful for the UK because like 90% of my shit comes from your country. I order everything from there.
Every state I've been to in America has been different in that sense. Like New York, there was quite a few places I found where you could like find quite a few good comic book shops, but when I was in Dallas, you didn't find one in the whole city. It seems like in America it's a very mixed bag of places that do still have traditional media and stuff like that. But there's some cities I've been to where it's just, there's nothing like that. New Orleans was great because they still had all the old music shops, where you could go in and buy the vinyl and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But in New York, there wasn't many places you could do that. So I guess we're lucky in the sense that we're a smaller country, so it's all quite local, that kind of stuff to us. But I think America's only problem is it's too big for that kind of stuff to still exist.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, though. I've gone to several different states, and honestly, that's thanks to wrestling, doing conventions and stuff like that. But every time I go to different states, I feel like I'm going to a different country because everything is completely different. The
crazy,
whole cultures, it's completely different. And I used to live in Europe. I was in the UK when I was 5 for 6 months, and then I lived in Germany, and I stayed in France for a little bit because I have family, in the UK and everywhere else. And it felt like that. It's just as different as it is from going from Germany to France, aside from different languages. But if the languages were the same, it's the same as the United States. When I go to, let's say, like Georgia, I don't feel like I have anything to do with these people because they're completely foreign to me. Their whole culture is completely different than what it is in the Northeast.
Yeah. So if you're from Philly, East Coast, imagine you going to California or something, or Oregon. I imagine places to the West Coast are completely foreign to you. Like, the weather's completely different, your cultures are completely different, everything about it is, like you said, it might as well be a different country. The only thing you've got in common is you use the same currency.
Yeah, I mean, Florida, honestly, like Florida, aside from all the jokes about Florida being weird and just needing to be its own country for the safety of the rest of the world, Florida feels like a different country. Like, if you go to Florida, I don't feel like I'm in the U.S. I feel like I'm in a fucking island. Like, I feel like it's a complete different country.
They are a different country, though. They're a different type of people.
that's much like London to the rest of England. London's like a different country. It's an entirely different beast to the rest of the UK. It's kind of weird. It's kind of very strange, like walking around London.
If we could separate Yorkshire from the rest of the UK, I'm sure we would. We'd happily do that. Just make Yorkshire into its own country or our own sovereign state. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
The less we have to be associated with London or the rest of the UK, the better, really.
That's how we are with Florida, man. Florida is the one that had the zombie drugs, the bath salt. They got climate alligators. They got all kinds of shit that I don't want to have anything to do with.
Hang on a sec. What the hell's a climate alligator?
They have alligators that climb fences, and they'll just end up.
Oh, sorry, climbing alligator. I thought you said climate alligators. No. Right, sorry, climbing.
So if you live in Florida, if you have a pool, you might wake up and there's fucking 3 alligators in your backyard, and that's something you got to deal with at 7 a.m. I don't want to have that. So
the climb over your fences and just jump in your pool.
Yeah. Now it's your problem. Now you got to get it out.
That, man. Yeah. It's bad enough here with like the neighbor's cats shitting in your backyard. I couldn't handle an alligator, man. No way.
Yeah. What are you gonna say to an alligator? Really, it's a fucking alligator. You're just gonna let it chill, do what it wants.
Let it do its thing. It'll go eventually. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I might be way off here. I might have dreamt this. Did you mention that you were a photographer for independent wrestling promotions back in the day?
Well, not a photographer, but I did a lot of graphic design. So like GCW, right. I used to design their shirts. I did work for CZW. I'm doing some stuff for AEW that's coming out for
right on.
I should say it then, but yeah, I mean, I've worked with a bunch of different people. StarCast, I did all their graphics when they did the convention for Conrad.
Really?
Yeah.
We went to StarCast, the first one.
Nice.
Yeah, that was really cool. So you did the branding and stuff for it?
Well, I did the last StarCast.
Oh, okay.
the one that was in Baltimore. I did the whole magazine and all the graphics for Sting.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
And then
how did you get into that? How did it what was your kind of break into that kind of that designing for that world? What
was GCW? Are you guys familiar with GCW at all?
Yeah.
You guys know?
Yeah.
So I was there from the beginning, from the first show, when there was 30 people there, because that crowd kind of carried from CZW. It's New Jersey, Philadelphia based. There's a couple hundred, hardcore deathmatch fans around here. And once CZW kind of shit the bed and they couldn't carry the torch, GCW stepped in, so all these fans came over, and me being one of them. So I offered to do some free graphic work for them. I was like, hey man, you guys got this tournament coming up. Do you mind if I design a shirt for it? Which was for the Nick Gage tournament. So I kind of did that for a few times for free, and in return, he kind of gave me my own space to sell art at the shows. So I would carry my table, and then I started selling art prints at these shows. And through that, just networking with different people, and then just, starting to see like, oh, there's some money in this. Let me buy some space at a convention and see how this works out. Mm-hmm. And it was a snowball effect. And the next thing I've personally, paid for Arn Anderson, Sabu. I've brought a bunch of people in for signings that we've done, virtually during the pandemic. And a bunch of other people I'm forgetting about. New Jack. Dude, I've pretty much worked with all the people I've kind of wanted to work with. And a lot of them weren't good experiences, so that's why it kind of turned me off.
Well, isn't that always the case in wrestling? Yeah. Though 99% of the time, don't meet your heroes.
Yeah, and a lot of the time.
Knock on wood so far. I've done like a few commissions for wrestlers. I've worked for Danhausen and JT Energy, and they've both been absolutely brilliant. And I really can't. I don't know how it happened, man. I just kind of started putting fan art out on Twitter, and then all of a sudden, like, I get a message saying like, "Oh, do you fancy doing a t-shirt?" And I'm like, fucking yeah, of course, yeah, absolutely. So I somehow managed to kind of fall on my feet into doing like a bit of work here and there for these wrestlers. So hopefully it'll snowball and continue. And I don't know, it's kind of crazy, crazy little world.
Getting your stuff out there, man. That's all it is. Mine was a complete snowball effect. I didn't really expect to. It was surreal because a lot of the people that I had played with their action figures when I was fucking 7. Now I'm picking them up from the airport and giving them money to make me money. It was surreal for me, and it all happened so fast that I wasn't expecting that. But the biggest thing I guess I'm kind of known for in the wrestling art world is the Fuck Jim Cornette shirt, which kind of took off.
Oh, wait, is that the one you did for
G-Raver?
G-Raver, yes.
Yeah, and that whole thing.
Yeah.
That whole turn into
oh god!
Shit.
Wow, that was you. That was you.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that shirt. I remember Jim Cornette talking about it on his show. I remember wow. Cool.
Yeah, less. I imagine the less said about that one, the better.
Yeah, I still can't really get too much into it.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Well, that kind of soured me on wrestling too, because overnight, dude, I got like 1,000 followers. I don't have that many followers, but I had 30,000 DMs in my inbox telling me to go fuck myself and kill myself, and I was like, I don't know if I want to have anything to do with these wrestling people anymore, man. I don't know if I need this in my life.
Oh no,
wrestling fans are a real trip, aren't they? They're just
I tweet about it daily. I know I'm a wrestling fan, but I'm a self-hating wrestling fan. Like, I hate wrestling fans more than most other fan bases, and I'm fully aware that I am one. But I hate them all because they're all just the worst, and I find it really hard to be part of it sometimes. Just knowing what they're like, they're all really toxic people, and
just make some kind of harmless reference or comment or something like that, and then people are just they're just on top of you, and then but actually it's not a inside cradle, it's a quarter Nelson fucking and I'm like, all right, what?
Hey, that actually happened. That
did actually happen. That's why I used it as a reference. But yeah, that's just. But yeah, then people just jump on you and correct you all the time. Oh, it's just fuck it. I don't know. That's why I don't really engage with wrestling Twitter as such, apart from the people that I know, and that's how I'm going to keep it. So
I think you'll live a longer life doing so.
I think so. Yeah.
Stay out of that. It'll make you age like a dog, man. I wouldn't.
Yeah. And I've got a good grasp on Twitter now. I realize how good of a networking and marketing tool it can be. So I'm kind of that's kind of the avenue that I think I'll stick to. So. Keep any kind of personal shit off there, really. And just chat crap with guys like you, and
I deactivated my Instagram the other day and my Twitter and Facebook. I got Twitter back because I thought, fuck it, I need it back to promote the podcast. It's selfish of me not to have it. But otherwise, for that week that I didn't have any social medias, I've never been happier. Like, there was no complaining about wrestling, nothing, no spoilers, no toxicity really, apart from myself. And I was like, this is great. And then when I reactivated my Twitter again, first thing I saw was a thread complaining about the latest episode of Raw. Like, why did I bother? Why did I come back?
Dude, I feel you. If I didn't have to be on the internet to like self-promote my art and things of that nature, there's no way I would be on there's just no way. I would be one of those Twitter eggs, and I just would never comment on anything. And honestly, I probably wouldn't even be on there. I'd be on YouTube. I'd watch people's content, and I'd bounce.
Yeah.
That would be
I'd leave them a nice comment. Yeah.
Give them a thumbs up. Yeah.
I mean, there's don't get me wrong. There's tons of good wrestling fans, because I mean, again, I've kind of made a career off wrestling fans. I can't bitch too much about them, but there's more shitty ones that I've met than loyal ones. But I've met tons of great people through it.
Yeah, there's nice people out there. Don't get me wrong. I just love hating wrestling fans because it's so ingrained into me now.
The funny thing is, though, all the nice ones that I'm speaking of, that I'm saying, oh, I met some great ones in between. All those great ones are not watching wrestling anymore. They're all kind of on the same page. Like, yeah, fuck this. I don't really want to deal with this.
Every week I'm on the cusp of just giving up on it, and I don't know what to say. It's like a girlfriend who you can't let go, even though she keeps fucking around on you behind your back, but you're just like, oh, she just used to really just suck my cock so good, but you just can't let it go.
She said she's changed. Yeah.
She said she's changed,
Same old girl.
Same old, man.
A lot of it is just programming, man. A lot of us were programmed to just tune in on Mondays and just that was the thing to do that you've done for years and years. And then I fell out of it for 10 plus years, and then I got back into it, did the podcast, got annoyed with it because, you'd have wrestling fans that hit you up that just, and that's another thing. A lot of people feel entitled that they like own you just because they've given you a download to sit there and like review Raw personally with them. Yeah. And if you don't respond back within 2 hours, you get like cussed out and they'll tell you to go fuck it. So, I did a whole show reviewing Raw. I don't want to sit here and break it down for you. There's a link. Just check that out. You know what I mean? Yeah. I appreciate the support, but the fact that you think that you're entitled to having this one-on-one review with me right now is just weird. Or you just I would add people on my personal Facebook, and people would just call me all the time. As soon as I would accept their friendship, they would just call me and I would never like accept it. And then, oh, sorry, butt dial. Like, dude, I don't know you. Don't call me. I don't know you.
Yeah. That's so weird. I've got a weird thing about I never answer a number that's not saved into my phone. So like I've missed calls all the time because I'm just like, I don't know who you are. You're not in my phone, so I'm not answering. Because typically it'll be some cold caller or some kind of sales pitch or something like that. So and it just drives me nuts. And I'm just So I got random strangers immediately calling you as soon as you've added them on social media. Would
calling me on Facebook, not personal number. They would just go on the DM hit the video thing and try to video dial you. It's like, dude, I'm walking my dog, man. I don't want to talk to you.
It's too much, man. That's way too much. Yeah, it's just weird, man. I'd be terrified if I answered the call and there'd just be a pair of nuts or somebody's butthole like staring at me or something like that, I'd be like, so yeah.
Long ass balls like John, man. I want to wake up, walking my dog.
That should be the name of this episode. Should be Ringsiders long ass balls. We should call it that on the get that algorithm up.
I would do Rivers. I would do
a long ball special.
So are you working on anything right now, design wise or illustration wise? You got any anything coming up or?
Yeah, I mean I do a lot of like personal commitments. So people will ask. I've come out of the wrestling thing. I'm kind of trying to transition into the horror community because again, that's a much better community to get involved in.
100% agree. I've never had one bad or cross word with anybody from the horror community. They've been absolute darlings, yeah.
People are supportive. They're friendly. They appreciate. Like for me, it's good because they appreciate art. You know what I mean? People in wrestling, they want you to do something for $20. I'm like, dude, I don't want to sit around for 5 hours drawing for you for $20. I don't want to do that. I can make more money at McDonald's. But people in the horror community, they appreciate stuff like that. So it's a better space for me personally. But the one thing I want to get into is NFTs. That's kind of the new thing that I'm trying to get into.
Right. Can you tell us what an NFT is?
Yeah, I've heard lots, but have no idea really. So
I mean, they're called non-fungible tokens, and I guess it's got like a built-in contract basically. So when you, the artist or the creator of the piece, is selling it to somebody, and you can make it either 1 out of 1, or you can make it a limited quantity, and say, hey, this is a series, 10 of these are going to be sold, and all it is a digital file. They're just downloading the actual file of your artwork. But the thing is that with it it's essentially a token. So it has a contract that this person now owns that art. So I don't really, like, me personally, I wouldn't collect it, because like you can just go on my Instagram and download it. Now, granted, it's not going to be the same quality, but I guess there's collectors. It's the new art market. I know Gary V's like super into it. He's saying it's like going to be like the next thing.
Is the money in, like, is the value, in like owning that piece? So let's say, for example, there's a really nice car. I buy the car. That is mine. If I buy, like, I've seen the NBA selling 10-second clips of people scoring or something like that. So do they own that footage? It's not that they're owning the moment, so to speak. It's literally just the file.
I don't know how it works with the NBA, but I know as far as like you have to have a following, I think, to really succeed in it, which is why I'm kind of like scared to get into it, because a lot of these people that are making $1 million from this are celebrities. They're people that can tweet out, hey, I got this NFT built, and 150,000 people are going to support it. So it's And again, it costs a lot of money to list these things. It costs probably like about $120, now just to sell one of these things and list it up there. So it's risky. You don't want to, if you're putting 10 items up, you're spending $1,000.
I'd just be confused if I was to buy one. Like, so let's say I spent somehow $1 million on an NFT. I wouldn't know what I'm getting. Like, I don't know what it is that I'd get in return for my money. Is it just my name goes onto a ledger, or?
Well, I guess the main thing is, I think this is just my theory, because it seems like a lot of these people that are spending big money on this are people that got into crypto when it was brand new.
Sounds a lot like it, yeah.
Right. So a lot of these people, I think, became millionaires off of Bitcoin. They invested in Bitcoin very early, and they don't know what to do with their crypto. So this is like a side hobby project where they're just like, oh, I'll spend this much of my Monopoly money on this, and I don't give a fuck, because I got 5 million of this sitting in the bank that I didn't really work for. So I think a lot of it is that, and a lot of people are hoping that this is like the future of, video games and people discovering characters. Because let's say you're a video game A&R, right? And you're trying to find new original characters for your next video game. So you can go on NFT and discover all these original characters, and you can buy them, and now you have the right to use them for your video game or whatever you want. So it's kind of like it's like a new way to discover things, I guess. And it's safe because it's directly from the artist, and it's got this crypto contract built into it that you can't really go back on. So that's kind of cool. And the cool thing about, like, for artists, I guess, is that you get royalties off of this. So you can build in royalties. So let's say somebody buys this character from you and it ends up getting sold to, I don't know, Nintendo or whatever the case is, and they sell it for, millions of dollars. Well, you get a cut from that now, versus before somebody, like, I'm sure the person that designed Mario, probably got ripped off. A lot of the people back in the day, they got screwed over. So this is like, it's, I guess, safe for the content creators and also for the people that are investing in it. But I personally don't understand why you would want to just collect like digital stickers, other than if you want to use them for your own content in the future. I don't really understand the collecting aspect of it.
Makes me think, like you said, it's more like a cryptocurrency in itself, owning these assets. Like,
that's what it is, yeah.
Itself are a crypto. So, like, in 10 years' time, that tweet that was sold for however many millions of dollars is going to be worth 10, 20 times it is now. So it seems like it is just an alternative to crypto. I think you're right there, definitely.
And I think the main thing is that a lot of the people getting invested in this want to own a part of history. So like the first ones that really took off was CryptoPunks, which is just pixelated, like really shitty drawings of punks. I wouldn't even buy that for 50 cents. To me, it's nothing. But people are buying these for thousands and thousands of dollars. There were 60 grand at one point each. Jeez. And the reason I think people want to own these is because they were kind of the first thing that took off. So they're expecting NFTs, if they're really the next big thing, that these are going to be really valuable because, hey, I own the first real big NFT. You know what I mean? And then God knows how much that's going to be worth to some crazy gazillionaire that doesn't know what to do with their money. But I don't, for everyday use, I don't really understand the concept of it. I think this is just like, and I think a lot of people are probably doing money laundering through this, man. I mean,
yeah.
Like the art market.
It's got to be dodgy stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, the art market, that's always been what it's known for. Somebody buys a painting for $1.5 million, like, come on, you know?
And then convert it to crypto anyway. It's going to be, it's going to be untraceable money that no one's ever going to know where it came from.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's genius in a way, but you're right, it's going to be used as money laundering.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all it is, dude.
And why not, to be fair? It's probably a good way of doing it.
Oh, the government fucks you enough, man. So it's not.
Yeah, they really do. Yeah, they really do.
If you can get a couple Bitcoins around them, man, I don't blame you.
I've got, last check, I think I had £30 of Bitcoin, and last time I checked, it had gone down to 26. So I wasn't too happy about that. But yeah, I get paid for
the day job.
Yeah, I was thinking that 30 quid, one day it's going to be worth like 30,000. I'll take early retirement. Nah, it's not going to happen. So
yeah. It's like the time that I sold one T-shirt on Redbubble, and I was like, "That's it. I'm fucking quitting my job. I'm a paid illustrator now. I'm just going to be flying off the shelves. Haven't sold one goddamn thing since." So but still,
it's
one T-shirt.
Keep the dream alive, Rivers.
Yeah, keeping it. Yeah, keep on grinding. So I don't know, man. I guess before we head off, because we're hitting the 40-minute mark, or about to, plug your stuff, man. Tell us where we can find you, what you're up to, and where to check you out, and Break the Apocalypse and all that.
Yes, if you want to check the podcast out, me, myself, Bisha O'Brien, and John Draper at Break the App on Twitter. If you type in Break the Apocalypse on pretty much any platform, you'll find it. You can find me on YouTube. I just launched relaunched, because it used to be a wrestling show, but I've relaunched my YouTube. It's called Planet Mondo. I do Blu-ray unboxings, reviews, top 10s, all that sort of fun shit. So Planet Mondo on YouTube. And if you want any kind of graphic works, I'm on Twitter at Nuclear Heat. On Instagram at Nuclear Heat Graphics, and my website for art is nuclearheat.shop. So I got a bunch of posters and T-shirts and all kinds of cool things up there. So
cool, man. Well, thank you for coming on. We'll definitely have you back if you're willing. So
absolutely. Whole gang at some point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, maybe sometime we can get you on for some kind of pay-per-view push or something like that as well.
Yeah, dude. So if you guys give me a heads up, I'll totally watch it and give you my organic reaction to somebody that hasn't watched it in years.
Let's do it.
Totally
that sounds fun.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on the show last night and inviting me on here, man. It's been fun. I appreciate this.
Yeah, love the show. Really love the show, and keep up the good work, man.